Do you work all day but still feel like you should be making progress so much faster than you are? Well, I used to feel that even with 10-hour days, I wasn't doing enough until I built a simple system that quite literally helped me do more in 4 weeks than most business owners do in 4 years. And it hasn't just worked for me, it's helped my 7 and 8 figure clients at selfmastery.co have the most productive weeks of their lives, get more done in 1 week than the past 3 months, and 10x their ability to execute consistently. So in this video, I'll show you what that system is, how to utilize it in your business, and how to do it without burning out so that you can make more progress in 4 weeks than most businesses make in 4 years. And by the way, I'm not going to put any fancy edits or graphics or animations in this video. This is going to be raw. It's just going to be filled with actionable advice. So if you actually want to get more done than most business owners, watch the video. If you're here for entertainment, you should probably just click off. Anyway, let's dive in. So to start, we need to use a filter that's going to remove so much wasted time from your schedule so you can actually start to use that time on more important things and get more done. So imagine you were carrying 40 bricks up a hill when you only had to carry 10. How much harder would getting up that hill feel than it needed to be? Pretty damn hard, right? Well, that's exactly what most business owners are doing every single day with their tasks. They only have to do a handful of things, but yet their schedule is packed with 10 times more work. So to fix this, you need to use the RAD filter. Let me show you how, okay? First, list out every single task you do in your business. The best way to figure this out is to just go through your schedule from the past few weeks, list out all the tasks you did. And if you can't do that because you don't have a schedule or something, well, you need to fix that and start scheduling your days because you will just automatically get more done rather than winging it. But for now, you just need to sit there and think of what you do, okay? Now, once you've listed all the tasks out, we want to pass each of them through a filter by asking, if I removed this task, would my business still run and grow smoothly? If the answer is yes, remove it. And if you do this right, as in you remove your emotional connection and bias to the tasks, you'll shock yourself at how much you can remove. Now, for every task you can't remove, ask, if I automated this task, would my business still run and grow smoothly? If the answer is yes, automate it. Now, you have to be careful with automations because for a lot of tasks, automations aren't quite there yet. And in my opinion, they're not worth setting up. And obviously that's going to change a lot over the next year or two, but still just be mindful of this and realize that not every task that can be automated should be automated. And then for all the tasks remaining, ask, if I delegated this task, would my business still run and grow smoothly? If yes, delegate it. Now, the problem with delegation, it's not really a problem, it's just the way it is that every task can be delegated, but there is some nuance here because delegation is limited by both team members and your capital to hire new team members. So if you don't have a team member for a task or the capital to hire for that task yet, that is fine. It just means you can't delegate the task and you have to do it yourself. But in an ideal world, you would sort certain tasks into business owner only work, and then you would delegate everything else. But this is limited by your team and your capital. And when you're delegating, to make it actually work and go smoothly, you need to use our AI system. So make sure the person you're delegating to is aware of their responsibilities in terms of completing the task, tracking improvement, making improvement, etc. That they're held accountable through data and that you help them integrate their new responsibilities into their schedule so they can actually find the time to do that task. And of course, use SOPs. If you don't do that, delegation is going to create you more headache, not less. But now that you've actually got some time on your hands, there's no point spending that time on the wrong things. It would be like me giving you $100,000 and instead of you putting it into an index fund, you throw it into some penny stock. Maybe not the best thing to do. So let me show you how to know what matters. And it's actually really simple. You see, when you break it down in business, you only need 2 things. You need something to sell and you need someone to sell it to, which means you only need 3 tasks. You need a task that makes people aware that you exist. You need a task that turns these people into customers, and you need a task that delivers on what you sell. So these are what we call at selfmastery.co, links in the description, by the way, if you want to systemize your business to run without you. But we call these non-negotiables, and that's because that's what they are. And essentially, if you're still a really small team or even solo, these are what you need to prioritize every single day without fail, because if you don't do these, you won't do the things that grow your business. But if you have a team or you're going to hire, you should still delegate these, and there can be nuance here, obviously, but typically fulfillment should be delegated first, then sales tasks, then marketing. If you're still doing all 3 of these non-negotiables, delegate them all as soon as possible, or at the very least, sales and fulfillment, because quite frankly, they are the lowest leverage tasks out of these 3, and marketing is the highest leverage. it doesn't mean that we don't care about them. No, like I put client fulfillment incredibly high on the list. It's one of the most important things you can do in business. It's why it's one of the non-negotiables. I remake and overhaul and improve my product 2 to 3 times a year because it is so important to do what you sell well. But quite frankly, doing that would be pointless if I didn't create content like I'm doing now, which is my marketing task, to get leads, to sell to then deliver to. Now, obviously, in theory, you should only do those 3 tasks in business, but it's not that simple in reality. There's always other things to do. There's big projects, developing a campaign, fixing a bottleneck, launching an offer, whatever it is. Those things that you do once and they create a lot of progress. Well, they're what we call strategic actions. And for most businesses, they get half done, never completed. So if you really want to get more done, you should prioritize these and actually make sure they get completed. The best way to make sure this happens is to track them. Now, I have a super simple tool that I normally keep for clients that you can get access to for free in the description below. So go get it. It'll really, really help you with this. You break your projects down into steps. You assign due dates for each step. This way, when you're planning your days, you can just come in and say, okay, I need to do that next step tomorrow. You can schedule it, get it done. You make your way through the list of steps and the project actually gets completed instead of forgotten about. Plus, you can also delegate certain steps or entire projects to team members so your business can get even more done in even less time, and you can keep track of where they're at and hold them accountable incredibly easily using this sheet. Anyway, as a business owner, if you're trying to get to 7 or 8 figures, you quite literally should only be doing 4 tasks at the most, okay? Your marketing task, your sales task, your fulfillment task, and the next step of your strategic action. And if we really wanted to be really relentless of what we do, you should have sales and fulfillment delegated as well if you can. This way you can actually focus solely on the highest leverage work like marketing and strategic actions, the things that are really going to drive progress in your business and help it grow. Because with the likes of content, if you get really good at it and you start creating content for your marketing task, you can create one piece of content and make thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Everything else, every other task should be removed, automated, or delegated. But of course, obviously business can throw some curveballs at you. There's always fires, urgent problems, emails, and everything that can really throw a spanner in the works here, and it can stop you from going all in on those important tasks that matter. So let me show you how to deal with them. And it's really like the classic jar, where if you put sand in first, then the pebbles, you have no space for the big rocks, which is shit, okay? So what you want to do is put the big rocks in first, then the pebbles, then the sand, and everything fits that way. And that means you have to schedule your day. Now, I will show you in a second how to actually schedule your day properly, but seriously, after working with countless 6, 7, and 8-figure business owners, if you do not schedule your day, you will get less done and things will feel more chaotic because you're operating without a plan. Like you're just winging your day. You have to decide at every moment, what am I going to do now? How long am I going to do it for? Should I do this instead? And you waste so much time and mental energy on just making stupid decisions. Plus, as a human, you'll naturally lean into the path of least resistance, which means you'll do the easy tasks and fires and problems, which are the sand and pebbles, before you do the important work, the rocks, which means the rocks don't fucking fit. So what you want to do here is plan every day the night before. You pretty much list out every single task you have to do tomorrow. So any non-negotiables you're doing, the next step of your strategic action, any one-off tasks, any problems you have to deal with, etc. You want to list them in order of priority. Then you want to schedule each task to an hour in order of priority and around any meetings or calls that are already set in stone. So you schedule your most important tasks first, least important tasks last, okay? Also, I recommend doing this on paper. Every single client I get to do it on paper prefers it and actually uses the schedule compared to if it's, on an app or whatever. But look, following a schedule is like going on a road trip. You have the plan, the route, okay, that you're following, but if you keep getting distracted by every side road, well, you're going to fall off that schedule very easily. So you need to manage your distractions. The best way to do that is to simply remove them, okay? If you try to fight them, you will eventually lose because the willpower is limited. So instead, we want to remove the likes of notifications using app blockers. Then we want to set boundaries with your team, as in basically communication blocks where you only communicate in set time periods. Not only will this help you stay more focused and get more done, but it will help them get more done as well. The important thing here with this is that you have your systems well built so your team can actually operate without your constant input and without depending on you, which if you do need help with that, click the link in the description below to work with me and I'll help you out. And of course, you also need to not get distracted by fires and problems and emails and all those things that pop up throughout the day, because your schedule is based on what you know you need to do. But in business, things pop up that we weren't expecting. It's part of the game, right? The best way to deal with these is a daily wrap. So This is the last hour of your day, and what you do is, instead of dealing with emails and fires and problems throughout the day and getting distracted and thrown off your schedule and not being able to deal with the rocks, you deal with them in that last hour, in that daily wrap block, which anything that you need to deal with in that block, if it takes a few minutes, do it now. Anything that takes 10, 15, 20 minutes can either be done now or delegated to a team member or EA if you have one. And then anything that's going to take you, 1 hour, you schedule it as a task tomorrow, or again, it's delegated. Or quite frankly, you can just try and leave it and remove it if it's really not important, but that's up to you. You'll have to use the context of your current situation and that task to know if you can just, not do it. And if you do that, you really only have one more problem you need to solve to guarantee you get more done in less time. And in fact, it's probably one of the biggest problems, and that is resistance. Resistance is that feeling of friction, that block you feel between you and the thing you know you need to do. It's a locked door, and on the other side is you doing the work. But there's no way through unless you have the key. Resistance makes us think that the thing we're going to do is really hard. Okay, it's this really scary thing when all you're doing is bloody typing on a keyboard and thinking, okay? It is not that hard. I say this because to get across the point that it is entirely in your head. Resistance is not real. There's not actually a fucking wall or a door between you. It is all in your head. But when you don't understand resistance, it feels impossible to overcome. I get it, right? So the key to that locked door and doing the work is realizing that resistance is a sign of what matters and what you need to lean into. It shows you what is important, because think about it. When have you ever felt resistance to something that did not matter, that was not important? They're the things you do when you're procrastinating, right? So resistance only appears for the important things, and reframing that, understanding that, it can change everything, because every time you feel resistance, you can now take it as a positive sign of, fuck yeah, this is what I need to do. Not a negative, because it's not. It's really good. It shows you you're on the right path. All you have to do is sit down, lean into the resistance and do the bloody work, which unfortunately, I cannot help you with that. If there's something you have to do, nobody can help you do it. You just have to sit down and do it, okay? You have to get it done. And yes, there's obviously small mental frames here which can help. For example, understanding doing is not hard, starting is hard, okay? For example, when I'm writing a script for a YouTube video, it can take me 3 to 4 hours to do, and every single time before I sit down to write it, I feel that resistance, that block, and I have all these excuses to not do it. I decide it's time to go polish my cutlery and, do something stupid like that there. You decide to clean behind the bookshelves. You do something, right? But every time I start writing, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy writing. And so I remind myself every time I feel resistance that this is a sign of what I need to do. And the only hard part is starting. So I force myself to sit down and to start. And the second I start is the second resistance disappears. Seriously, there's literally about 30 seconds of discomfort if you start, but hours of discomfort and guilt if you don't. So start. And look, don't expect, all of this to be perfected overnight, okay? It won't happen. It's not going to be perfect. Like in business, you don't expect a new strategy or campaign or offer to work straight away. You know it's going to take data and feedback to iterate and improve. This is no different, okay? Track how much time you spend on deep work. If you get your MIT, your most important task, done, your strategic action progress, your focused levels, your time spent on non-important tasks, and then analyze that data every week, make changes to improve, and over time your productivity will skyrocket. You'll get more done. Your business will follow because you're spending time on the right things that actually matter. You don't even have to work more to get more done and make more progress. In fact, if you click the video on screen now, I'll show you how to grow your business in 4 hours a day.